The People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon Offem, and here are the top stories. David Mark resigns from PDP after 27 years. Atiku and David Mark and other PDP leaders asked Nigerians to join in on seating APC. Mark and Aregbesola emerge ADC interim chairman and secretary. INEC expresses concerns over varying interpretations of Section 65 of Electoral Act. Bodies of 2 children recovered from main drain after torrential rain in Niger. On the international scene, Israel has killed 1,000 Palestinians in the West Bank since October 7, 2023. And in sports, 10 Juventus players asked to be substituted during defeat by Real Madrid. Those are the top stories. Details coming up now. We begin the world news with developments from the national political scene, where former Senate President Senator David Mark has formally resigned his membership of the People's Democratic Party, citing deepening internal divisions and unresolved leadership crisis. In a letter addressed to the PDP chairman in his Otukpo ward, Benue State, Mark cited deep, unresolved internal issues that have left the party a shadow of itself and and exposed it to public embarrassment. The former Senate President, however, lamented that recent internal conflicts had subjected the party to public ridicule. Explaining that the decision to leave the PDP came after extensive consultations with family, political allies and close associates, Mark declared his next political move. Mark joined the Senate in 1999 and became the Senate President in 2007. He served as the senator representing Benue Central Senatorial District for 16 years, having been sworn in 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011 and 2015. He is renowned as one of the most loyal members of the PDP, having not defected to any party since 1998. His resignation from the People's Democratic Party and movement to another political party in his first recorded defection from the PDP. Meanwhile, a group of concerned leaders of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ex-Senate President David Mark, have asked Nigerians to join in helping to unseat President Bola Tinubu in 2027. They made the call in Abuja after a closed-door meeting to discuss the state of the PDP and the country. In a communique issued after the party, they called on all PDP members and Nigerians to come together in a broad coalition committed to national unity, democratic principles, security, economic recovery, and a strong fight against corruption. They emphasized the need for coalition partners to develop strategies that reflect both national and local political realities in preparation for future elections. It expressed a deep concern over the PDP's decline since its loss in 2023 presidential election and the resignation of Iyorchia Ayu as national chairman. They said the party has struggled with internal divisions and a failure to follow its constitution, leading to instability and a loss of direction. The group also accused the All Progressive Congress APC-led federal government of undermining democracy by using state institutions to weaken the opposition. They described the government's performance as a failure, citing worsening economic conditions, rising insecurity, and what they called a general collapse of public trust in governance. In the same vein, a former Senate President David Mark and Osun State Governor, ex-Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola, have been appointed as the interim chairman and secretary, respectively, of the African Democratic Congress, the coalition platform being positioned against President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 election. Leaders of the opposition coalition unanimously agreed on Mark and Aregbesola for the roles. Former Sports Minister Bolaji Abdullahi has been appointed as the interim National Publicity Secretary. The source further says that the ADC and its newly constituted leadership will be formally unveiled in Abuja today. Opposition leaders from multiple parties have consistently criticized the All Progressive Congress-led government, branding it a failure. Interestingly, major political parties including the PDP, Labour Party, New Nigeria People's Party and Social Democratic Party have also been grappling with internal crisis. In a bid to present a formidable front ahead of the 2027 elections, ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party's Peter Obi, a former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amici, a former Kaduna State Governor Nasu El-Rufai, and other political figures came together to launch a new coalition during a meeting in Abuja on March 20. After months of speculation over which platform the coalition would adopt, on May 19 that the group had settled on the ADC as its political vehicle. The national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu, has said the commission is concerned with multiple interpretations that have been given to the provision of Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022 on the review of election results. Yakubu made this known while delivering his remarks at the second quarterly consultative meeting with resident electoral commissioners held at the INEC headquarters INEC conference room in Abuja. He said there was an urgent need for the commission to give clarity to the mixed understanding and that people would have pertaining to this section before the forthcoming elections in the country. To this end, the INEC boss disclosed that in line with the powers of the commission, clarity will be provided on the review of declaration and return at elections for stakeholders and generality of the public this week. Addressing the RACs from the 36th state of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory Abuja, Yakubu said in pursuant to powers to issue regulations, guidelines and manuals to give effect to the provisions of the Electoral Act for its administration, the Commission is working on a supplement to the regulations and guidelines for the conduct of elections 2022 to provide clarity to the review of declaration and return at elections. Two children, a 9-year-old girl, an identified and an unidentified boy, has been confirmed dead after they were swept away by flood waters during a heavy downpour in Minna, Niger State capital. The tragedy occurred in Tunga community following hours of persistent rainfall that overwhelmed drainage systems, submerged roads, and brought movement across the area to a standstill. The girl, said to be the only daughter among 3 siblings, had been sent to the Tunga market, approximately 2 kilometers from her residence, to buy soup ingredients. She was accompanied by her 11-year-old brother. Despite the early signs of worsening weather, the children set out under an umbrella during a lull in the rain. Eyewitnesses said the rain soon returned with intensity, causing flash floods that filled the roads and open drainages. The children returning from the market encountered the deluge when the girl reportedly slipped into one of the major drainage channels constructed decades ago by Julius Berger during the Ibrahim Babangida military administration. Her slippers and end nylon shopping bag was found at the edge of the channel. No fewer than 1,686 people were killed in at least 909 incidents of gang violence across Nigeria between January 2020 and March 2025, with the South and Southwest regions emerging as the most affected zones. According to reports, the SBM intelligence released on Tuesday, Rivers State topped the fatality chart with 215 deaths, followed by Lagos with 197 deaths and Edo 192 deaths, all strongholds of long-standing cults and gang rivalries. The report added that those clashes often involved groups such as Vikings, Icelanders, Aye and Aye, Black Axe and Greenlanders. The report indicates that the South-South region alone recorded over 750 deaths, largely driven by violent cult rivalries in Rivers, Delta, and Bayelsa. In the Southwest, over 490 fatalities were documented, particularly in Lagos and Ogun, both witnessing recurrent clashes between the Aye and Aye confraternities. The southwest region, notably Anambra State, also witnessed significant violence, with over 215 deaths attributed to increasing Vikings and Aye cult activities, often linked to broader separatist tensions. The north central region, particularly Benue State, recorded 204 deaths, with cult groups such as scavengers and chain operating amid ongoing communal clashes. In contrast, the northeast and northwest regions experienced minimal gang-related activities, recording fewer than 30 fatalities combined. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll head into the news analysis segment with Yemi Daniels, a broadcaster and a current affairs analyst. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We're on to the analysis segment where we have Yemi Daniels, a broadcast journalist and the current affairs analyst right here on the news. Mr. Daniels, thank you for joining us on the news at 12 today.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. So good to be here.
Yeah. So a lot of political activities has been going on the last couple of weeks, and the much publicized and anticipated coalition is finally here under the platform of the ADC, if information we're getting is anything to go by, and with some big wigs like Atiku Abubakar, David Mark, Aregbesola, all in the coalition. How strong do you expect this coalition to be?
Yeah, thanks once again. It's an interesting season in Nigeria. It's not the first time we're having coalition. In 1999, there was a coalition. But we don't call that a coalition. It was a margin for the popular election of AD and the APP at the time. And the first major coalition of this sort happened in 2015. With the CTC, AC, and part of APGA. And this is another coalition. Now, we can see political juggernaut in the fray. And I would think that it's probably an interesting one. But the question we should ask ourselves is this. Nigerians did hope 2014 when the APC came together that we were going to get value from that in our democracy. But up till now, almost it's about a 10th year of the APC. The question is, as a coalition of the APC favored Nigeria? So the challenge before the emerging coalition is the assurance the Nigerians will get value. How sure are we the Nigerians will get value from this coalition? And the guiding paradigm should be what's the philosophy of the coalition. You understand? The question we should ask ourselves, what was the philosophy of the APC coalition that has brought us into this situation? And what is the subsisting philosophy of the emerging coalition? That's when we have to juxtapose that philosophy with the present philosophy and ask ourselves, is this coalition worth following based on this philosophy or not? But trust me, it will be an interesting one because of the quality of political figures in the coalition. You have the former Senate president in the coalition. It's about the most, and we give it to David Mark because when he was Senate president, he was the most stable Senate at the time he was Senate president. And of course, we have the likes of Arebe Shola, who is really a grassroots as far as Southwest politics is concerned. And of course, we do have Ruki Amici. We have a Peter Obi that have a massive support from the Nigerians, from the younger Nigerians, who see him an inspiration in governance. And of course, we have the likes of El Rufai and who else is the coalition again. Of course, Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who has been a serial contestant over the years. So it's a rich coalition, but politically, but the question is to what extent will this coalition deliver governance? Our problem is not politics. Our problem has always been governance. Up to now, 25 years down the line, it's the 26th year now, Nigerians cannot categorically say that we have gotten the long end of the stick in governance. We have been significantly shortchanged at the extent, it's been at the extent of Nigerians and in the interest of politicians essentially. We hope that the coalition will change the narrative and it will be based on what is the philosophy of the coalition. So that will be the fact.
Do you think this coalition will be strong enough to have mount any form of challenge for the APC?
Wow, that's a tough question. They say one day is a long time in politics, and it's not 2 years. The question will be, what is the philosophy? What is the strategy? What is the communication? You understand? All of those things will determine if they will sway the minds of people.
And what is the grassroots support?
What did you say?
And what is the grassroots support of the party?
Oh yeah, the grassroots support
because we know APC and PDP, of course, before this current crisis, have a very strong grassroots support, which is very crucial for political party stability. Yes,
I agree totally with you, and that was why I talked about the methodology of their engagement. If you notice, obedience are significantly grassroots. They may have to export their ideas across the coalition now, and so that the coalition takes the idea and now adapt it to the different spheres of influence. You understand? You have a meeting from the South, hopefully is able to see the robust network that will trickle down to the grassroots. And like I said, 2 years is sufficient time for them to pull this thought if they're really serious about it, and if they are able to sway the Nigerian people to the large extent. The first thing they must understand is this: Nigerians do not vote because the government is bad or good. Do you understand? The direction of Nigerians, it is not whether a government is or bad. It is how they are able to tap into primordial Nigerian sentiment, which is ethnic and religion. Unfortunately so.
So, looking at some of the names in the coalition, Atiku, David Mark, we keep hearing Peter Obi, but the meeting they had yesterday, Peter Obi wasn't really in that meeting, so we're yet to find out where Peter Obi stands exactly in this coalition. Is he really part of it? We don't really know. What can you say about that?
Well, I think Mr. Peter Obi is somewhat undecided. I think, I think the reason is that if you follow the obedience, some of them are of the opinion that he should not join the coalition, because significantly most of the people in the coalition are established politicians who have a history of misgovernance. You understand? But the seemingly pragmatic among the obedience are saying that because of the way Nigeria is structured, Obi cannot go it alone.
Yeah.
And if he does go it alone, he may not have the war chest, political war chest and the financial war chest to contend with the quality of incumbent that we have now. I mean, in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So So those are the, so it is between those two, and trust me, as a leader, you need to weigh all of these options. I still read Yemi Daniels a few days ago, this same issue, that Obi should come clean and say, categorically express himself on what exactly he wants to do in view of 2027. You understand? So I think it's quite pretty much undecided. It seems to be a different. It seems to be different from most of them. You understand? Mm-hmm. And but unfortunately, this is the situation we found himself. Hopefully, the situation will be favorable to his political future. But as it is today, it's more like it's going to be in the coalition. I think it's a 60-40 situation for him, if you ask.
I think there's also the fear of the Atiku factor, because we really don't know the part that Atiku will play in that coalition, when you also consider the fact that he just wants to be president by hook or by crook, and then if he wants to be president, and then what will Peter Obi be? Will he be vice president? So there's also that article factor there. Do you think it's a big deal?
No, it is a big deal. The vice president, the former vice president, is a big deal. Is a senior contestant, is a big deal. Is financially is a big deal. You understand? Don't forget that between Atiku and David Mark, I am a massive followership of the PDP. You understand? A lot of people were distressed with Atiku through a coalition once the coalition stabilizes. You understand? So the question will now be how politically sagacious each of the candidates that may want to contest election is. Recall that in the APC, there was a tough contest between Atiku Abubakar and former President Buhari. It was a tough one. Now, it was between himself, Wakonso, and the President Muhammad Buhari. Three of them were really the major guys at the time. And it was the support of Wakonso for Buhari that gave Buhari the deal against it. Listen. So it is about how to maneuver that politics for you, how to win vote and how to bring relevant votes at the Congress that will determine who you might be. But you know what? Can I tell you the truth? Given the level of monetization in states like this, today's politics, no one stands a chance of taking that ticket as much as Atiku. No one stands a chance, except ADC decides to sanitize the system to ensure that money politics is significantly played down, which is also a top call for the party, for the coalition.
So David Mark resigned from the PDP after 27 years. No surprise there. He's been one of the names linked to the coalition, and of course at the meeting yesterday he was appointed the interim chairman, and Ralph Aregbesola is the interim secretary. How crucial is the two of them to the success of the ADC? You also just mentioned the political will for this party to either say Atiku, Nigerians don't like you enough to be president, so let's just go with someone that electable, someone like Peter Obi. And if there's anyone that can convince Atiku to drop his ambition of being the president, these are the two people that can do that.
Which people? You mean
David Mark, yes, David Mark and Aregbesola, the interim chairman and secretary.
Okay, might be able to convince him.
Yes, I'm asking. I'm asking how crucial is the leadership of David Mark and Aregbesola being the interim chairman and the secretary? How crucial will it be to the success of ADC?
Now the question, you now said something like, possibility of convincing
Exactly.
Atiku not to contest.
Exactly.
Now we ask ourselves the question: who got Arebe into the coalition? Who got David Mark into the coalition?
But they may have had their terms before joining.
That's the issue. So the question will be, on which level are they in the coalition? To the best of my knowledge, Arebe came through Atiku. You understand? And because of the relationship between David Mark and Atiku in the days of PDP is more likely to lean towards Atiku. Now, if you look at the leadership, that leadership will be on its own. Do you understand? And like I said, there are 5 of them are establishment politicians. Do you understand? Obi is like is seemingly neutral. Is seemingly different from them because of what is been preaching over the last decade or more. So by the time you put these permutations together, trust me, Obi doesn't stand a chance there. It doesn't seem to stand a chance there. These are establishment guys. Yes, it is electable. You understand? Given what he was able to pull at the last election.
Yeah.
And there is also the need for us to analyze what he pulled. The question is, where did he pull those votes? On why did he pull those votes? And those analyses have to be effectively done. We need to drill deep into those things to determine how he pulled those votes and if he can spring that level of supply or even do better at the next election. Now, in the southern Nigeria, the question is asked us, how many votes did Obi get in the north in 2023? If he's going to get more votes in the north, what would have to happen? In 2019, how many votes did Atiku poll in the south? What was the reason for polling that number? So all of these things are subject to a lot of analysis. And that will inform the direction the party eventually goes. You understand? And a whole lot of permutation, a whole lot of historical considerations will have to happen in this circumstance for the party to zero down to a preferred candidate. It's a whole lot of work for the party, to be honest. It's a whole lot of it. And I think that's why Arebe comes to play here.
Okay.
Having experienced the way APC happened, Arebe was fully involved in the APC matter. He knew all that transpired. Himself and Abichi were fully involved in the multiple negotiations, including the vice president. All of these things will come to see. That's why we really cannot say. We can only speculate. But if you ask me, given history, Obi may not stand the chance that we're expecting to stand.
So with this potential challenges he may face if he decides to join the ADC coalition, what party do you see him, or what party would you like him to be? Because I mean, Labour Party is in shambles, so there is no hope there. PDP is in shambles too, with the mass defection out of the party, obviously. So what options does he have?
Does Obi have?
Yes.
Politics is like chess. When you make a major mistake at the beginning of the match, that mistake might kill you for the entire game. Now, a mistake was made in 2023. I personally told somebody, I said the next thing the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do in year 2027 is to factionalize Labour Party. Now, Peter Obi should have insisted, he should have done something to have a strong leverage in that party such that he has some level of leverage. Now, let me tell you something. In 2015, if you recall, when Muhammadu Buhari became president, one of the biggest mistakes he made was to be no, it was not to interfere at all in the national assembly election. You understand? And by that singular action, the new PDP took advantage of it, and Bukola Saraki emerged. Like I said, it's a game of chess. If you don't make the strategic move in the early part of the game, you will find yourself crumbling at the middle of the game. And that's what is happening to Peter Obiado. Unfortunately so. He is still the most electable candidate at the state today. He is, I'll be very honest with you, he is my personal choice. You understand? But you see, as it is today, the possibility of him emerge, and that is why he's also very is deeply considered. You understand? He's deeply considered. The chances that are there that he might very emerge, even in a democracy. Even if they have to make it everybody delegate vote. By the time, and to the extent that the Nigerian politics is qualified, by the time the big guns at the juggernauts bring them the money, all the votes are gone.
So you're not sure. So you're not sure what party, what platform he will be contesting with for as of now.
As I speak with you, I can't do. As I speak,
because I mean, because as I said before, PDP is in shambles, Labour Party is in shambles, and ADC, the Atiku factor. I mean, because obedience movement, most of them would not want him to go in as vice president.
Yeah, obedience cannot imagine now obedience vice president. Obedience cannot imagine.
Okay, because of time, let's quickly go to the second topic for discussion, where INEC expresses concerns over varying interpretations of Section 65 of the Electoral Act, and it says. The Section 65 of the Electoral Act allows INEC to, within 7 days, review any result where the returning officer is found to have acted under duress or contrary to the law. I'm trying to... this is actually a head scratcher. I'm trying to understand where the misinterpretation rather, is of Section 65 is coming in here. I don't know. Can you answer that?
Yeah, it says that there is the returning officer will reserve the right to review within a period of 7 days if because the law says this condition to review, and one of the conditions is that if it's found that he actually returned under duress. I think that's the primary reason that provision was there. But guess what? I say that the major problem here is our deliberate refusal to constitute electoral offences tribunal. Politicians want to eat their cake and have it. Now, if we had electoral offences tribunal, for instance, and you knew that if you win the election and you were caught and you were to face the tribunal, and by some stroke of shit you were sentenced to jail, or there are penalties or punitive measures, trust me, we would have less of this thing. So it borders on the criminality around the electioneering. And if there were punitive measures if there was a procedure to ensure that election malpractices are duly punished, trust me, we could have less of this thing. Because if a returning officer points at me that I put him under that, put a gun to his head, you understand? He knows me, he's seen me, he knows I'm the agent of the past. I know he could mention me at the tribunal with evidence. Then I would watch myself and how much I want to be criminal at the election. So it is about trying to ensure the safety of the returning officer, and that's the essence of that position. But actually, what we should have done in that circumstance is to have electoral offences tribunal. Even if that review could take place, the electoral offences tribunal could also state if the review was done in bad faith, that returning officer also could be jailed because of an electoral offences tribunal. You understand? So the point that particular place, if you have an electoral offences tribunal, I think it should further and address the controversies in that issue. But thankfully, INEC has come to say they will issue guidelines and regulations and clarify all the issues, all the areas of concern around that particular provision.
But I don't know how Nigerians who see this as a big deal, because you can't exactly call this a game changer, because the cry has been electoral reforms, and the major part of the electoral reforms cry is electronic transmission of result. After what happened in the last election, and then interpretations, several misinterpretations, depend on the camp you are. Most Nigerians, what they care mostly about is that electoral reforms where election results will be transmitted electronically live. I think that's what a lot of Nigerians are waiting for and care much about, other than the various interpretation of section 65 of the Electoral Act. What do you think?
Yes, Nigerians, this is the problem we have always had as a people. We do not put boots on the ground for things that we really do want. You understand? This is the second year of this complaint. This complaint has been there forever since the UAE panel that did electoral reforms in 2007. It must have been noted that politicians have been implementing that reform in piecemeal in a way that favor them. You understand? It has been like that. That commission has sat and done its coming with the findings in 2008. This is about the 17th year of that paper. And up to now, we have not fully implemented it. The chairman of that committee died last month. He didn't see the full manifestation of that report, of the implementation of that report, 17 years afterwards. And this is the reason. We are too docile with people, including industry that is okay. We need to step up our game and actually put our skin in this game. We cannot keep waiting for good governance to be served on the platter. Let the democracy being come on the platter. Good governance will not come on the platter. We must put our skin in the game, insist on certain things. Certain things must be done. 2023 we just go the 2023 way. Because when you go to the Electoral Act, I'm sure you know that the court is saying that the election transmission was administrative and not constitutional.
Yeah.
Now, that was one area we should have took court and said, okay, now make it constitutional. If we start that debate now, that law will not decide on the post-2027 election. There will be back and forth. So the problem has always been that we as a people, we usually complain and we do not engage strategically to get our needs met. It's been a problem. Honestly, it's been a major challenge for us as a people.
Okay. Well, I wish we can talk more, but unfortunately we have to go. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
That was Yemi Daniels, a broadcast journalist and a current affairs analyst. Still on to the world news at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. To our international news now. Since October 7, 2023, Israel has escalated its violence in the occupied West Bank, killing 1,000 Palestinians. As the world was distracted by Israel's genocidal war in Gaza, which has killed more than 56,331 people and uprooted nearly the entire population of 2.3 million. Israel ramped up its violence raids on the West Bank, as well as its silence as Israeli settlers attack and kill Palestinian villagers. The most recent casualty was Samar Bassam al Zagarem, a young man who was shot by Israeli soldiers on July 1. According to the Wafa Palestinian news agency, Al-Zaganem was killed near the separation barrier, which Israel began building in 2002 to divide Jerusalem from the rest of the West Bank, and which cuts through Palestinian communities and agricultural fields. Still on international scene, Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, U.S. President Donald Trump has said. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said that during the proposed ceasefire, the U.S. would work with all parties to end the war. It did not provide details on what the ceasefire would entail. Israel has not confirmed it has agreed to the conditions of a deal, and there was no immediate comment from Hamas. But Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar posted on X that there is a majority in the government, quote, for a framework to release hostage, and this opportunity must not be missed. Trump's announcement comes before a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu scheduled for next week, in which the U.S. President said it would be firm, very firm. The U.S. President said on Tuesday that he believed Netanyahu wanted to end hostilities in Gaza. And out to sports news, 10 Juventus players asked to be substituted during the Club World Cup defeat to Real Madrid by Real Madrid, says manager Igor Tudor. The last 16 game on Tuesday was played in hot and humid conditions in Miami, with the temperature reaching 30 Celsius and humidity 70%. Up to 5 substitutions are permitted during a game and up to 6 if it goes to extra time. Gonzalo Garcia's goal gave Real a 1-0 victory in normal time, and Tudor made the maximum 5 changes allowed at Hard Rock Stadium. In the minutes in the end, 10 players asked to be substituted. They said the exhaustion was incredible. Extreme heat in the US has affected many games during the Club World Cup, with Borussia Dortmund manager Niko Kovac saying he was sweating like I've just come out of a sauna during his side's group win over Mamelodi Sundowns in Cincinnati, Ohio. The temperature reached 36 Celsius during Benfica's group win over Bayern Munich in Charlotte, North Carolina, with Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca said it was impossible to organize normal training sessions amid a code red severe heat warning in Philadelphia. And that's the news, but before we go, here again are the top stories. David Mark resigns from PDP after 27 years. Atiku, David Mark and other PDP leaders asked Nigerians to join in unseating APC. Mark and Aregbesola emerge ADC interim chairman and secretary. INEC expresses concerns over varying interpretations of Section 65 of Electoral Act. Bodies of 2 children recovered from drain after torrential rain in Niger. On international scene, Israel has killed 1,000 Palestinians in the West Bank since October 7, 2023. And in sports, 10 Juventus players asked to be substituted during defeat by Real Madrid. And that's the World News at 12. I am Solomon of FM. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.